For the North Carolina defense.
That was the Capital One rewarding performance, and this is a rewarding run as Gavorian Barnes is out the gate, inside the 30, to the 10. Touchdown TCU, 75 yards and no flags.
It's the Wednesday edition. Kevin McCurdy will join us at 1 o'clock. Declan CAA at 1:40 today. We're brought to you by Wolf GMC Buick. Employee pricing continues at wolfgmcbuick.com. Some news from the world of baseball involving a brilliant young outfielder, the Boston Red Sox, Roman Anthony, going to go on the IL, could miss 4 to 6 weeks with a left oblique strain. These guys swing so hard, man, their bodies crumble. That really does suck. That's a tough blow for the Bo Sox, who are chasing the Toronto Blue Jays, and they're in the race with the Yankees too. So they've got a good young team there in Boston. You know, they traded Rafael Devers for not a lot, and they improved. Odd, the YouTube feed just flipped to Tyler's podcast. That is interesting. Are we just the lead-in for Tyler until he gets rolling? Is that what's happening here?
We are not. What's going to happen, though, is we're going to remake the stream for another time.
So the third time we're doing this?
Yes.
And then we're going to tweet that out? And then I'll retweet it? Okay. All right.
It's done already. It's out.
Are you tweeting it?
I will in a sec. I'm just going to try and fix my cameras.
Oh, so now because there was a complaint about how beautiful you look on the camera, we're waiting to get that YouTube thing out.
No, the YouTube thing. Oh, yeah. We're waiting to tweet the link out, but I just messed this up. 1 second here.
Excuse me, but that's really funny, you know. My birthday is October 29th. Halloween was always awesome. Steve from Drumheller. I get that. That would be wild. Lowetide, you're incorrect. Declan kicked up dust on the Christmas song. There you go. I thought it was an interesting choice. One of my coolest moments of Halloween was taking my son around at one of my neighbor's houses. My son started to stomp on the welcome mat. I wasn't sure what he was doing until I saw it was a flames mat. It was around 5 years old. I was so proud. Don't blame you there. Awful lot. I remember the first time I took my kids trick-or-treating. My son ran so fast he could fall down and all of his candy would fall out of his little, he had a little pumpkin, although it wasn't a real pumpkin, he had a little pumpkin bucket, and he'd run, fall down, and I'd pick it up for him. And he just couldn't, like, he just thought he was going to run out of houses, the poor kid. And I kept saying, no, we go, like, you know, till whenever, 7:30 or whatever time it would be. And he just wanted none of that. He wanted as much candy as he could have. It is cool for little kids, I think. And then what I have found in my older time in Halloweening is that I just leave stuff out now. Like if I'm there, I'll give the candy out to the kids. But I just put a little sign that says, take a couple, thank you. And people are pretty good about that. And then the teenagers, when they come, like they're the last chance Texaco, I just give them all the candy I have, because if not, guess what happens? Lowetide eats it. And we don't want that. So Oje Aliassime has now lost that lead that he had, and now it's 5-5. I don't like the way this is going.
Yeah, really tough scenes from Felix there. Alex broke back. They're currently on serve. Felix does have the advantage. If he can break here, he's going to have a chance to serve for the set. Also, I tweeted out the YouTube link.
Okay. All right. Did you include me on the tweet?
Yeah, and I told everyone you needed money, so please watch us.
Lowetide is fine, but we would like you to tune in. How are we doing? Are we doing well with the number of people watching? Is that good? Are we doing good numbers?
The trend was looking excellent.
Okay.
Trend was looking great.
If we can just keep this puppy going, I think we'll be fine. Cowboy Bill says, I'm excited to see if Tomasek can have the same success as Ryan coming to the NHL in similar circumstances. That's an interesting thing. You know, the idea that Tomasek is a complete unknown, that is true. However, there have been examples of players who've come and played effectively in the National Hockey League. One thing that is a little bit of an outlier is Tomasek is an offensive player, and oftentimes the players who arrive later in the National Hockey League are more two-way or checkers or penalty-killing types like Derek Ryan. So we'll see, but it is exciting, and I'm thinking that he's a player that I'll be watching. The rookie game, that's like, it's coming up, like it's September 12th and 13th, I believe is the correct dates for it. That's going to be interesting because a lot of guys who the Oilers don't draft high anymore, but they are drafting and they are procuring talent. And so you're going to see guys like Viljami Marhala and Connor Clattenburg. Connor Clattenburg is wildly famous compared to his draft number and compared to his offense. Partly because there's a lot of people who spend time observing and looking at these young players. Bruce Kurlock is somebody we've had on the show many times. Sam is entering the room with his gigantic haircut. My God, I've never seen an intern or really anybody that wasn't on stage singing the rock and roll who had the kind of hair that Sam does.
You have the same hair as Sam.
No.
Yours is a little more salt and peppery, but you guys got the same flow going on.
It's just because I'm too cheap.
Sam, hop in the camera here for a second.
Yeah.
I'll step in.
Look at this.
That's
this like? Can you?
That he actually looks like you at 20.
Could you maybe roll some AC/DC, like, you know, something Dirty Deeds? Because I think if you sang in front of a microphone, you could be mistaken for a lead singer of a rock and roll band. Yeah.
I wish I had hair like that.
You know.
Oh goodness.
Haircuts cost a lot of money now. Anyway, Viljami Marhala, Quinn Hudson, Bo Akey, that's going to be a lot of fun Friday in Edmonton and Sunday in Calgary. It means those players, those young players, of which Matt Savoy and Ike Howard are rumored to be a part of it, i.e. Jason Gregor tweeted out their names. That will be interesting for fans to get to see them. And it gives them a little bit of an advantage because they'll have played in some games and gotten the juices flowing as they enter main camp. And they're going to be going obviously lickety-split, and we'll see the cuts quickly. And then, you know, Bakersfield takes a while to get going, and Bakersfield does play, like, I think 2 preseason games, but they're never televised, and you barely get any information on it at all. So it's kind of, you know, sucky that way a little bit. In Detroit, Riley Green hit a 2-run single, and it's now 3-2 for the Tigers in the top of the 6th, and in the bottom of the 5th now, Washington as a 7-4 lead over Miami Marlins. Felix Boat right back and is again serving for the set. Well, let's always up 15 Cobb, so that's good. I know they say Love. Oh, it's 30 Love now. This is from Stolat John. A confession: for the longest time, I would have your show on my computer audio and multitask working while listening. Now that I found you on YouTube, I can't work because I get mesmerized looking at you gents. Wow. That's the nicest thing. You know, that's so kind. Thank you. This Halloween, I'll join Linus in the pumpkin patch and wait for the great pumpkin to arrive. What a great show.
Special guy?
Me?
Or a Christmas special guy?
Oh, I like all the Charlie Browns. I watched the Charlie Browns because I remember I didn't celebrate Christmas. So
right.
For me,
yeah, of course, like, you got it a little later.
It was like when you have the best Christmas. I didn't have Christmas as a kid, but the best Christmas I firmly believe is when you have children. And then you give them gifts. That's the best.
This question is going to sound like a joke, but I don't mean it to be at all. But the first time you had Christmas, was it kind of like I don't, like when an Australian sees snow for the first time? Like you were like, whoa.
Well, I knew what it was, but what and it was with my future in-laws in Medicine Hat. There were some things that surprised me. How much fun it was, how many people were there, how much alcohol was consumed,
Mhm.
and
It's a
then
big
the
one.
quality of the gifts was quite high. So I was I guess I was impressed, but I also thought that, I mean, we went to Christmas Eve mass, so there was that part of it as well, and I did feel good. I felt like I was part of a family, and that's the best part of Christmas, I think. Don't you?
Wow, I thought Felix's shot was in there. That's crazy. Yeah, the best part of Christmas is absolutely family. I mean,
Ladies and gentlemen, this often happens where Lowetide drops some significant moment in his life, and Declan immediately talks about something else.
well, no, I hate to be rude like that, but they were in, Alex de Minaur and Felix Auger-Aliassime were in quite the rally there, and I thought Felix caught the line with his backhand, and he didn't. He's still serving for the set at set point number 2, but what a great rally that was. I thought Felix stole the set there. I actually celebrated. I don't know if it was on camera, but I pumped my fist a little. He just yeah, he did. He just aced out the set. There we go. Okay. 2-1 Felix. Look at that.
And Lowetide's heartfelt moment, Christmas is lost in the ether. It's okay.
The reason, listen,
It's okay.
the best
You know.
Christmas I've had is the one I'm going to spend with you.
Do you know how old you were when you when you finally experienced Christmas? I would have been like 20, 21, something like that. Just so you know, I had great parents. I was raised extremely well by loving parents who were great, great people. They just didn't celebrate Christmas, right? So they gave me gifts in December, just not on Christmas Day. It was all good, but the experience of that, I think for me, the best part of it is when you have your own children and you celebrate Christmas that way. I will tell you that between 1994 and 2015, I would have watched, well, maybe 2010, I would have watched It's a Wonderful Life 5 or 6 times till 2 a.m. while I was putting together various Lego or train sets or kitchenettes or whatever the case may be, drinking a few beer. And those were the best moments for me. I will never forget them. They're beautiful. Christmas morning with your children when they're so excited and they're so happy and they love their new toy. I could tell you so many stories about having to run over to the neighbors because my daughter got her favorite doll, but it had I needed a long screwdriver and I didn't have one. And I had to go over and bother my poor friend, John, who lives next door. I'm so thankful he's never moved. He has every right to have moved away a long time ago. Those are the best Christmas stories. And I think everybody feels that way. Those are the really, really good ones. Are you a big Christmas giver? Like, do you give?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
What do you like, ham or turkey at Christmas?
Turkey. I'm not a big ham guy, but I've come around in the past couple of years.
When you don't have, like, turkey's the better to have, but if you're going to do a ham and then cut it up in little bluches that fit a little bun and then have them that way. They're so good.
My family was never, we didn't really ever have rules at Christmas.
Oh.
Like it wasn't until I don't know. I guess I started to go into like girlfriends' Christmases and stuff that I would actually have like roles at family dinners. What a miss on our part.
Well, you got to have that.
Yeah. It's the best part.
And always check the date. Make sure you get the fresh ones. All right. It's 12:57. Sorry. Coming up, we'll talk to Kevin McCurdy, not about Christmas, incredibly. And we'll also have Declan CAA coming up at 1:40. Lowdown with Lowetide on Sports 1440 and YouTube. A time for an update with Declan Krueger.
This is the Sports 1440 update.
Brought to you by Papa John's. At Papa John's, get a large one-topping pizza for just $14.99. Use promo code L1499 at papajohns.ca or on the Papa John's app. 2 games in the MLB right now. Nats lead the Marlins 7-4 in the top of the 6th. In the bottom of the 6th, it's the Tigers leading the Mets 3-2. Later on today, we are going to see the Blue Jays and Reds. That one at 4:40. Shane Bieber on the bump for the Jays. In the U.S. Open, Canadian Felix Auger-Aliassime currently up on 8th seed. Alex de Minaur, the Australian, 2-1. They're about to begin their 4th set. In the second quarterfinal, Yannick Sinner and Lucas Musetti will play at 6:10 today. And in the women's draw, it's Anna Anisimova playing Iga Swiatek in about 5 minutes' time here, and Naomi Osaka and Caroline Mukova at 5. News around the sporting world is the LA Clippers and team owner Steve Ballmer reportedly have been accused of circumventing the NBA salary cap by paying $28 million to Kawhi Leonard for a no-show job. Pablo Torre reported today that the Clippers paid Leonard through a now bankrupt company owned by Ballmer. And the NHL and the NHLPA ratified an extension to their CBA agreement in late June, which included a playoff salary cap. According to TSN hockey insider Chris Johnston, the cap will be implemented immediately and take effect for the 2026 Stanley Cup playoffs, meaning each team will be limited to icing a cap-compliant 20-man roster for each game. I'm Declan Krueger. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
1440, Stingray Radio Station. CHJR broadcasts from West Edmonton.
The Blue Jays beat the Reds 12-9.
So is this like a new sponsored ad thing?
No, that's his side hustle. He gets $250 a week or something.
Facts.
From Wanye. Just to say, hey guys, AI no sport. Even though there's many days where he's like, what do you think the free pick of the day was? I was like, well, that didn't happen. That didn't happen.
Yeah.
We'll go down to like the second page. And other times it just drills it first.
Facts.
Yeah, this is definitely going over. Yeah.
Once basketball starts back up, I think we'll do a lot
Is,
easier.
is Bruce McCurdy in?
Kevin McCurdy?
Or sorry, Kevin, yeah.
He is not.
Oh, I sent him the link. I'll text him here in a second.
I did contact him, so he.
It's a new link this time, but I sent it to him.
I think we got the wrong audio on the stream.
No.
It's good.
Lowdown with Lowetide on Sports 1440, brought to you by Wolf GMC Buick. Employee pricing continues on the entire lineup of 2025 Sierra trucks. Details at wolfgmcbuick.com. Boogie Fever. Was that the Silvers?
BG. No, that was the Silvers. You're
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, wow, I remember that song. So many things in the lyrics now are old and don't exist. I took my baby to the drive-in. That's not happening. That doesn't happen anymore. Smoky Lake Trumpet says not everyone is Christian or religious for that matter, of course. And we want everybody to listen, no matter whether you're religious, not religious, Christian or non-Christian. It doesn't matter. We love you all. We were just talking about Christmas and our own shared past. So I hope and I believe that everybody could understand that. Do we have young Mr. McCurdy?
We do not. Just got
Okay.
in touch with him.
All right.
Hoping he hops on here in a second.
Doug says, Great to hear your voice, Tide. Haven't listened to Lake of Sports talk since Game 6 loss. Too painful. I need to get back on the wagon. This is the year again. Doug, amen, brother. This is a different experience. The experience that I had as a young person with the Oilers was always a build. It took 5 years, and you always kind of knew it was going to happen. There was an expectation, almost like an arrogance. And when they did win, it was like, okay, let's go do it again. And that happened. World's a different place now. The league is much smarter across 32 instead of 21 teams. 16 teams still make it, but there's a lot more teams trying for it. And for me, anyway, I've always loved the journey. And so every year that occurs and we talk about, and there's tweaks and changes and managerial and coaching changes and players come and go, it's part of the experience. And sure, everybody wants to win, but don't keep yourself from enjoying the journey. That's what's important. And I wish that we could be a little less intense about it, but I don't make the rules. And I do get and I do understand the disappointment of losing any Stanley Cup final, especially a Game 7 or a Game 6. They are tough. Do we have him now? No. All right. Well, we don't have him. There's nothing we can do. I do want to talk to him about a few things in regard to the Edmonton Oilers. I'm going to ask him Kevin McCurdy what he's looking forward to most. So maybe I'll tell you what I'm looking forward to most. Matt Savoy and Ike Howard, for me, initially, will be the focus as training camp starts. I want to know who they're going to be playing with. I suspect it'll be early on with one of the Limmer twins, either Leon Draisaitl or Connor McDavid. They'll play on separate lines, probably. I'll want to know how close Zach Hyman is to playing. I'd like to see Ryan Nugent-Hopkins at third-line center, and I'm very interested in seeing Nurse with Wallman as a pairing. We'll see if that happens. Joined now by our friend Kevin McCurdy. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well, Alan. How are you doing this week?
Good. I want to, first of all, talk to you a little bit about your Dylan Holloway comments, which I didn't know you were this famous, right? Like you say something and the tracks burn and you're on a horse out of town.
Yeah, it was kind of a throwaway comment. I'm a little bit disappointed that Dylan keeps being asked this question and keep reiterating about how poorly he was treated by the team. And that story has changed a couple of times. Originally, it was he wanted a bigger role on said team. And I just it's podcasts using it as clickbait to generate engagement, which I guess they did successfully this time. And B, I'm just a little bit irritated that he is expecting to be treated different than literally any other RFA in the league. At the point that the offer sheet came in, he'd played 89 regular season games with the Oilers. He had a whopping 18 points combined between those 89 regular season games. And I believe the Oilers offered him something in the tune of $1.1 million. And, that was definitely probably an underpay for what his potential was. But I have a hard time completely faulting Oilers management for arriving at that number and, expecting that. I don't think that it was reasonable to expect the offer sheet in the way that it happened.
Yeah, I also think Kevin McCurdy joining us on Sports 1440 in the Lowdown with Lowetide. I also think, honestly, that there's probably a great deal of regret on the Holloway side because he's in St. Louis and he's playing well and he's got the numbers and he's got a bright future, but he's part of a build and he was going to be part of the finish on this team, and we'll never know if he'd stayed and Broberg stayed how the Oilers would have done in the playoffs, but I think we can say reasonably they would have had better depth. They're working towards that with Ike Howard slotting into what maybe would have been a part of Holloway's role this coming season. So there may be some regret on his side. And the other side of it is that one thing that I've never understood about when you're looking for promises from an organization, they'll promise you anything, but you still have to go out and perform and prove yourself. And I think that's the problem with these sorts of comments is that lacks the reality. If Holloway had played here, he probably would have gotten, I don't think he would have gotten the St. Louis time, but he would have gotten a lot of playing time, incrementally increasing. He was on a veteran team trying to win the Stanley Cup, different situation.
Absolutely, yeah. Just looking at the differences between the two teams, like, yeah, I'm sure St. Louis had more money to offer. They're in the middle of a rebuild and they're just coming out of it, and they had the capital to make these moves happen. And credit to Doug Armstrong and Darren Ferris for engineering this. This is not a situation that most teams would have to deal with their young prospects. But the reality is that most Stanley Cup competing teams are pretty cash strapped. So if he wanted to put his name on a cup, then he was going to have to be pretty lean on his paycheck and get paid later. And that was a very reasonable prospect. Like, in all likelihood, if he'd signed that 1 year, $1.1 million deal or whatever, a year from now, he's signing probably a bigger deal than he currently has with St. Louis, and the money's a wash over 3 years, right? It's just being, I get that he's a hometown Alberta boy and all that, and I just wish that he would accept the fact that basically every team in the league treats their RFAs like this. This is not like a unique Oilers crappy management situation by any means. This is standard NHL fare across all 32 NHL teams based on what I've seen.
The Oilers and Flames are going to play 2 rookie games next week, Friday in Edmonton and Sunday in Calgary. Savoy, Ike Howard, this is via Jason Greger tweet, will be on the ice. Boaki, along with Damian Carfagna, Josh Szymanski, Quinn Hudson will be there, a bunch of players, Connor Clattenburg. Any in that group aside from Savoy and Howard that you're specifically looking to see?
I'm honestly looking to see all of them. It's a good opportunity to see them with the highest end talent that we have available in our prospect pool, and to see what we have here. Like, it's a little bit different than playing in the AHL. I'm sure there'll be some guys looking to prove themselves and make statements. I really like to see what Clattenburg's up to. I know he was, I think he's coming off an injury from the end of last season, so we'll see where he's at. Interested to see where Boaki's at. Obviously he had some shoulder injury challenges last year, so it'll be interesting to see if he's, he's still up to the task. His footwork last year in camp was excellent. And I think that there's a real shot at an NHL player there. Obviously also looking forward to seeing where Savoy and Ike Howard are at. And if they're looking like they're of NHL caliber, which I definitely expect from Savoy at this point, I think Ike Howard will be able to make the jump. We'll just see how deep into the season that jump lasts for.
Kevin McCurdy, our guest at the main camp. We talked a little bit about Savoy and Howard. At the main camp, there's some new players, new faces there. If Howard doesn't make the team, that might be an opportunity for Frederick. I think that people are looking past Bud Colson on the Draisaitl line pretty heavily. We don't know about Zach Hyman. Anything specific there that you're interested in seeing at the NHL level as we begin the process of training camp? And I understand it's not starting tomorrow, so we've got a little time for things to change.
I just want to see where the bottom half of the roster is at, and in terms of where I think Podkolzin is in a similar spot to in terms of progression as to where Dylan Holloway is. And what I mean by that is Holloway was sort of starting to really step into his own in the playoffs just before he left on the offer sheet. And he was, it was pretty obvious to people watching that there was a player there, and there was just that next step needed to happen. And that's how I feel about Podkolzin right now. I feel like we saw some real steps from him out of the last playoffs. And if he's able to harness that into this calendar year, oh boy, do I think that we made a good deal with Vancouver there. I think I just really want to see where the prospects are, like the new members of the Oilers are at, and we'll see, obviously if Hyman's healthy to start the year as well.
When we look at this team, I mean, it's too early because injuries and young rookies like Savoy and Howard have to be heard from. So we'll know more as the September rolls into October. But when I look at the Edmonton Oilers, even with the issues that they have, I feel like it's Vegas and Edmonton for the top of the Pacific if everything holds tight in net. Do you agree, or do you think there's another team in that group?
No, I think it's going to be more of the same. And I've seen some comments out there about the West is easy, and I don't really agree with that. Like, I think that Vegas has built a team. I think that Vancouver, if they can keep the drama out of their locker room this year, has a team. It may not be quite as plugged up as the East is, but it's still plenty difficult to get through to the playoffs. So we'll see. I think that you're right. I think it's going to be Vegas and Edmonton neck and neck. And again, it all comes down to goaltending. If our new goalie whisperer manages to keep things tightened up a little bit, I think that could be a very good thing for the Oilers, or I think they look at making a move in the goaltending slot, however difficult that may be, within the first half of the season.
Yeah, I think it's what you'd like is, and this was several executives have mentioned it over the years, maybe an earlier trade deadline, because sometimes you make the trade deadline deal and the player comes in and they don't have a lot of opportunity, maybe to especially in goal where there's a lot of things you've got to kind of figure out. That can be an issue. I wanted to ask you as well about Paul McFarland, who's been hired as an assistant coach, sort of the opposite number based on, the ins and outs of the summer of Glenn Gulletson. I've been reading a little bit about him, about, his offensive innovations and what he might be able to bring to these Edmonton Oilers players. That's another area we haven't talked about it a whole lot, but I think as talented as this Oilers team was a year ago, sometimes they're a little bit stale on the power play, as an example.
Yeah, I've heard nothing but good things. I've heard some rumblings that the players are pretty happy that Paul's part of the team. I've heard some commentary from professionals outside the organization that they think that's a good fit for the team. So I'm really excited to see what kind of rejuvenation can be done here. The power play has really after being cutting edge 2 seasons ago, has really become a little bit stagnant. And a fresh voice there is definitely something that's needed.
For you, is it a matter of like the taking kind of like the rookie game, the rosters, and sort of seeing how, like, I feel like a month ago I was looking at this roster as, okay, I can pick like 18 or 19 of these players and I'm good to go. And then I've read some more on, some of these players, and maybe it's more like 16. How many jobs do you think of the 23 or 22 that are available to the coach are really in doubt here as we enter camp?
I would say maybe 4 of them. I agree with you. I've definitely seen some more recent commentary that shakes up my previous, preconceptions about what this roster is going to be this year. And I would be interested to have been a fly on the wall for what expectations have been set with which players. Like, there's absolutely players that are safe. You're not ever worrying about a Nuge or a Hyman or a Bouchard or even a Brett Kulak or whatever. None of those guys you're worried about making the team. But, you have 2 defensive positions that are probably in some form up for grabs, or could be. And then you're probably looking at somewhere between 3 and 4 forward positions. And then maybe somebody within the system, goaltending-wise, blows the lid off the place. But I don't really see that happening.
No, that would be a dream, right? But
yeah, it would be a dream, but you know how dreams are, and making championships hockey teams, right? Can't hold on to it.
No. Thanks for this. Appreciate it.
No worries. Have a good week, everyone.
There you go. Kevin McCurdy. He's a good fella. Not like in the movie Goodfellas, but he's a good fella. And I like his clarity. I enjoy talking to him. And I think he has great insights. I think I'm a little higher on young Ike Howard than he is, or at least I think I'm a little more certain that Howard will play games this year and in the first half of this year. But I could be wrong. The reason that I feel that way about Ike Howard is because what he does is so valuable, and the Oilers, we just talked about the power play, they might be able to use a first shot scorer on the power play. You can say, well, they've got Leon, okay, but everybody's watching for Leon. Maybe you can use another, maybe the second power play uses Ike Howard and utilizes a little different, deployment of the left-handed shot, and maybe that works out. There are great talents on this team, and I think that a young player like Ike Howard might open up options on the power play that haven't been here previously, and we'll see. That's something that we'll look at as time goes on here in the preseason. All right, 119. We'll take a break. Don't forget Declan CAA on the way. And I'd like to talk about the Philadelphia Eagles in the next segment, and so we will. Lowdown with Lowetide on Sports 1440 and YouTube.
How's your summer so far? Are you zipping around in your new truck from Wolf GMC Buick? If not, you should be. GMC employee pricing continues through August on our entire 2025 GMC Sierras, including the Sierra HD lineup. But just August. Who knows what September brings? Costco members save an additional $1,200 on our 2025 Buick lineup and all our new GMC Terrain. We're here for a good time, not forever. Buy the new reliable vehicle and treat yourself. Employee pricing, 0% financing at Wolf GMC Buick.
Reduce fine lines and wrinkles while strengthening your hair with BioCell. It's a clinically proven, Ishura-tested product that helps in the formation of collagen. Find BioCell now at Vitality Health Foods, where customer appreciation is the first Tuesday and Wednesday of every month.
$1 plus tax for a smooth, small premium roast coffee at McDonald's? That means rich, full-bodied flavor at a price that's just as satisfying. Must be McCafe. Enjoy a small McCafe premium roast coffee for just $1 plus tax at participating McDonald's in Canada. Prices exclude delivery.
Johnson, whoa, proud to be local and family owned. Outdoor experience to speak for the Johnson, whoa, striving to bring you a comfortable home. With Johnson, whoa.
Ah, summer. The sun's out, the road's calling, and your car said, nope. Don't let your summer road trip turn into a roadside nap. Swing by Napa Auto Parts. Napa has the trusted tools, smarts, and quality parts for all your automotive needs this summer. Get your vehicle ready for the road and just in time for your kids to start testing your patience and sanity.
Are we there yet?
With over 85 locations in Alberta, visit your local Napa store today or online at napacanada.com. That's Napa know-how.
Lowdown with Lowetide on Sports 1440 for Wolf GMC Buick. Employee pricing continues at wolfgmcbuick.com. Young Declan, I'd like to talk a little bit to you about the NFL Week 1 and the Eagles v. the Cowboys. I'm looking at the line. Looks good for the Eagles. How do you feel that game's going to go?
Well, I don't have high expectations for the Dallas Cowboys now, less so without Micah Parsons. Like, I didn't the Cowboys, what do they cap out at? Like 8 wins, 7-8 wins? That kind of seems like their ceiling this year. The Eagles, it's really tough to repeat in pro sports, but the Eagles have probably as good a chance of any NFL team we've seen. I guess that's not really fair because the Chiefs have had such a dynasty. This game, I like the Eagles a lot. I think they go out there. I think they kind of put a little bit of the beats on them, announce themselves as the kings of the NFC East, which they rightfully are. And I like them to win this one 34-17-ish.
Nice. I like you put a score on it. The other game that seems like everybody's decided already is Broncos over Titans. Do you agree?
Well, I don't know. I'm not as high on the Broncos as some people are. Like, I think Bo Nix could have a regression, which, like, that's not a knock on him. That's normal. We saw CJ Stroud have a regression. We've seen quarterbacks have regressions. They'll probably beat the Titans. Don't get me wrong. The Titans, top to bottom, probably have the worst or the second worst roster in football. But I don't know. You got the first overall pick at quarterback there, who was kind of a consensus number 1 overall pick. Like, there's something to be said for that. Cam Ward, him and Mario Cristobal really were kind of all that Miami team had last year. He had them on the brink of the college football playoff. Like, he was the number 1 pick for a reason. Really talented quarterback. The Broncos should win this one fairly easily, but I'm excited to see what Tennessee looks like. I think they could be a little fun in spots. You could throw some money down on them to cover spreads. Denver should win this game, but I'm also not convinced Denver is going to be a runaway playoff team this year like the way they were last year.
The game that appears is the line I'm looking at is the tightest is Ravens at Bills, pretty much straight up. I'm assuming that you're going to say Ravens because you said earlier, but that was a couple of weeks ago that we talked about it. Are you still thinking Ravens?
Well, I think the Ravens are going to win the Super Bowl. I think they finally break through this year, and people have kind of talked about like, oh, Lamar can't do it. Lamar hasn't broken through. Like, a lot of quarterbacks don't break through until they break through, right? You got to do it at some point. I think this could be Lamar's year. Now, that said, I like the Bills to win this game. I think the Bills are going to be 13-4 this year. I think they win this game. I think they kind of announce themselves as, once again, the team that's going to run the AFC East. It's a tough opponent. It's going to be a tough, hard-fought game. I like them to win this game, but I still like the Ravens to win the Super Bowl.
And then one final one, and then we'll move on to the text line and listener questions. This is interesting to me because I looked at the line and I was a little surprised by it because I thought it would be maybe just a little bit stronger. Vikings at Bears. Vikings are favored by not a lot. Do you agree with that?
It's interesting. Like, I think the Bears are probably going to be 8-9, 9-8. And the Vikings, I don't know. JJ McCarthy, everything we've heard about JJ McCarthy would indicate that he doesn't look strong. He hasn't looked strong, right? Mm-hmm. So I don't know. The Vikings being favored in that one, I guess it makes sense going off last season. But I probably, whatever the spread is, I'm probably taking the Bears in that one just because I think two teams are kind of unknown. And quite frankly, I trust Caleb Williams more than I trust JJ McCarthy. And in, professional sports, the most in team sports here in North America, the most important position is the quarterback. And if you have the better quarterback and the Vikings roster is better elsewhere, I give them that. And Kevin O'Connell has experience as a head coach, and as great as Ben Johnson was as a coordinator, as highly touted as he was and sought after as he was, he has not been a head coach yet. So you give the other edges to the Vikings, and maybe they win, but I would take the Bears to cover in that one.
Montana DeRice says Serrani is corny, saying he and the Eagles won't go out for the banner raising. That'd be a shame, right?
Well, it's definitely corny. You can't deny, even as an Eagles fan, you can't deny that.
Oh, I didn't like him until they won. And then I can't not like him. I mean, it's like I hated the Yankees until Tim Raines won the World Series. But what am I going to do? I mean, Tim Raines won the World Series.
I hear you. A lot of fans were very out on Nick Sirianni because you started last year 2-2.
But he's arguing with fans. What are you doing?
No, he goes about it a really poor way, and he is corny, and he tries to be a little. I think he tries to be a little too I don't know. He just tries to fit the Philly mold in a way that seems a little disingenuous to me, and he kind of goes over the top with some of the stuff he does. He's a very good coach, though, right? So you have to rest your laurels on that.
He is a little bit all hat and no cattle. You can agree, right? Like he the way he talks, I think he's trying to be too smart by half a little bit.
Yeah, no, I agree with that, and I do think he's corny. But listen, he's got results. He's been to 2 Super Bowls. He's won 1. You know what I mean? And Howie Roseman deserves a lot of credit, but the players play, the GM puts the team together, and the coach coaches. They're all important.
I would just like a boring man like Chuck Noll to coach my team. I mean, I don't think he said anything interesting.
I would. I'm very cool with Sean McDermott coaching my team. I wouldn't mind Sean McVay coaching my team. I wouldn't mind Andy Reid coaching my team. But Nick Sirianni, man.
Well, he won.
I can't. What can you say? Yeah.
No, I mean, I'll be.
You would be mad if he left.
Oh, it would hurt because he's found the formula. I know how. Believe me, I've been watching the Eagles since like the early 70s. I know how hard it is.
Oh yeah,
and he did it. Eat Town Man says, "Hey guys, I'm really interested to see what Tomasek can accomplish with the Oilers. He's been projected to make the Czechia Olympic team. Lots of skill and size from what I've seen on vids. The only concern I have is he's 29, and so he's coming to the National Hockey League, and there is going to be a period of adjustment. And he is what he is. There's no extra gear. Maybe 50 games in, he can say, "Hey, I've now adjusted because I know the game." But there's not an extra speed gear that he has. So he has to come out of the box and really do well right away. Hacksaw is giving you a hard time for saying some quarterbacks don't break through until they break through, but that is actually correct.
Listen, I give Hacksaw credit. It sounds funny and it sounds silly, but some guys don't win until they win, and then guess what? They're effing winners, baby.
Well, it's the Eagles are a perfect example of that. I liked their quarterback before he won, but now that he's won, I'm like, hello, I love it, and so I guess a little bit like Sirianni, it's like you're bona fide, you're a made man.
I would say the argument that some don't break through until they break through is actually better for coaches, but I still think it's true for quarterbacks. Like Josh Allen hasn't really broken through. He's lost 4 times in 5 years to the Chiefs in the playoffs, but I think most people kind of expect he's too good to not get a Super Bowl at some point, and when that happens, he will break through. I think Lamar is the same way. I think Joe Burrow is the same way, but to this point, those guys haven't broken through.
Again, Montana to Rice. All those other guys you mentioned, Declan call play, Sirianni completely made by his coordinators and personnel. But he picked them and he gives them the freedom to do it, and they're successful. So I think you have to give him some credit, right?
Well, there's truth to that, but there's also truth to what you said, right? Like it's his staff, and he had to replace guys. He had to replace Steichen and Gannon. And, he's like, if you win a Super Bowl as a head coach, there aren't too many head coaches who won a Super Bowl who I look back and say, like, that guy did nothing. That guy wasn't important. Yeah. Like, who is there a name off the top of your head when you think of coaches who won a Super Bowl who you're like, that guy wasn't really that important?
I loved Dick Vermeil when he was an Eagles coach, and I was thrilled for him when he won in St. Louis. And like Doug Peterson made that great call. The Philly play, whatever they called it, I can't remember now.
Philly special,
right? Can't remember that. Good grief. I'll remember him forever. And same with Sirianni. I mean, like, I think it makes you. That's so hard to win the Super Bowl. Like you have to have luck on your side. Everything has to break right. People have to be healthy beyond a normal year, and you've got to have a stupid division rival who gives up Saquon Barkley. All of that has to happen. But I still give the coach credit.
No, it was pretty crazy in hindsight that you just kind of fell into that one.
You got to understand, after all these years, now it's raining Super Bowls. It's the dumbest thing ever. I'm just saying, but I'm happy. I wish your Bills would win a Super Bowl, though. I would wish that, especially because you were so down when they lost, and you were down on your quarterback who you love. It was like you're willing to throw it all out.
But it's just like it's watching it and knowing what it is, right? Like you've lost 4 times in 5 years to the same team. Like that is 5 years, by the way. That's a long time in the NFL. 5 years is a long time when you look at the length of career. Obviously, quarterback's a little bit longer, but 5 years is a lot of time. And for 4 of those years to consistently beat one team in the regular season and then lose to them when it matters in the playoffs, like that is a very large sample size. So it's not like what I was saying about Josh was undeserved. MVP of the league, though. My guy.
Walter says Jim Plunkett is the best example of a QB that never broke through until he broke through. And, you know, he was pretty wild in the Patriots days. He threw a lot, and they were not a mature team at all. And then when he got to the Raiders, it was totally different. He was not in the same spot. They weren't as reliant on his arm as they were in New England. Triple C in a truck. Josh Allen isn't a good quarterback. He has no answer for the blitz. Wow. Are you gonna say anything?
I don't really respond to him anymore. He just kind of he just texts in clown stuff to try and get a reaction. Like all he does is troll. Like it's not even funny anymore. It's 3 years of this or 2 years of this.
Unlike all of our other texters.
At least they have valid points and stimulate conversation, give opinions. Listen, I'll give Triple C in a truck this. When he, texting about the Eagles, he's very passionate, has a lot to say.
Oh, if he's an Eagles fan, then he's great.
He isn't. No, you're texters. He's the biggest Eagles fan.
Oliver Steve says,
I'm sure he's a great guy.
Yeah,
but I'm just sick of the bit.
Oliver Steve says Barry Switzer. There's a name. I always felt like he kind of fell into the Cowboys gig, though, right?
Barry?
Yeah.
Yep.
Where was he? Oklahoma? Where did he coach in college? God, I don't remember. Anyway, I think that was, he landed, but I don't know if he was the innovator. Montana to Rice says Triple C argued last week that AJ Brown is better than Chase. He's biased. Jeez, people are coming after your quarterback here. I didn't see it happening. I didn't see it coming. But there it is. All right, it's 1:35 on the way. Declinations. It's going to be fun. This is a person who's very passionate about college football. So it's Declan CAA straight ahead. Lowdown with Lowetide on Sports 1440 and YouTube.
The biggest game of the season, your Edmonton Elks Labor Day rematch with the Calgary Stampeders on Saturday, September 6th. It's the next gen game presented by National Bank. Kids get in free with a paid adult P5 ticket, and tickets start at just $20. Score yours at goelks.com.
At Leading Edge Physiotherapy, we believe that life can hurt. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't
Hello,
know that
they want
sometimes
offer
it
a win.
really hurts. We've seen people at their worst moments when they feel they have nowhere to turn, or at a time when they felt like their problem just wouldn't ever go away. We've also seen people who thought to themselves, it'll just go away on its own, or this is no big deal. I don't want to bother anyone about this. Don't know where to turn to, or think it's no big deal. Either way, we have the technology, techniques, and skills to help you get back to it, whatever your it may be. Life shouldn't hurt. LeadingEdgePhysio.com.
$1 plus tax for a smooth, small premium roast coffee at McDonald's? That means rich, full-bodied flavor at a price that's just as satisfying. Must be McCafe. Enjoy a small McCafe premium roast coffee for just $1 plus tax at participating McDonald's in Canada. Prices exclude delivery.
Whether you're a craft beer connoisseur or more of a wine aficionado, there's always something new to discover at Sherbrooke Liquor, a unique, family-owned, independent liquor store. The selection, incredible. The non-alcohol section is also very impressive. Sherbrooke Liquor, expert, knowledgeable staff with a passion for unique finds. More than just a liquor store, we're a community. Alberta's best, the one and only Sherbrooke Liquor. Wine, spirits, and oodles of beer. Visit SherbrookeLiquor.com.
I'm Rick Showers from No Bull RV, and you'd think that as a used RV expert, I'd be a real do-it-yourself guy. Oh, I know all the dirty and grungy stuff that has to be done to keep your quality used RV healthy, and I actually don't like doing it. That's why I hired a whole service team at No Bull. I get to talk about it on TikTok, and they get their hands dirty.
Got to be some perks to being the boss, Rick.
That's right, Bob. It's only fair that I share it with everyone, which is why we created our Camp Ready Club. Here's how it works. For one low monthly cost of just $30, we'll do your spring opening, fall closing, and all your regular scheduled maintenance on your used RV.
Plus, club members get priority discounts and perks as well.
You know it, Bob. Camp Ready means you've got everything you need. But if you require service or repair during the peak summer season, Camp Ready members go to the front of the line to get you back to the great outdoors faster.
And that's No Bull.
NoBullRV.ca.
It's 1:38. This is the Lowdown for Wolf GMC Buick on Sports 1440. Oje Aliassime is up 2-1. They're 5-5 in the fourth set. And, man, it is looking close. He was down in the fourth set, but came all the way back. And I feel like it's going to be a long one. And, man, it is such a hurdle. But Oje Aliassime, he looks poised anyway in this particular event. And we hope for him. He's been close along many times. And this time it looks even closer. Time for Declinations, brought to you by Elks Nation, 2 weekly podcasts with Eddie Steele and Declan Krueger, breaking down the green and gold, the most in-depth Double E football coverage on YouTube and anywhere you get your podcasts. And I know this is your favorite show, Declan CAA. So rock on, Billie Jean.
Yeah, normally on Thursdays, or had been on Thursdays, Declan CFL now. When the CFL season ends, this will shift back to Thursdays, and we'll bring Duncan with Declan back to Wednesdays. But yeah, so how this segment goes now that the season is gone is I give my top 12 and talk about some of the games from the past week if time permits, but it's always going to start with my top 12, then my group of 5 team, because obviously there has to be the 5th highest ranked conference champion to get into the playoff. So without further ado, let me get into it here. Number 1, I have Ohio State. I don't think that's groundbreaking news to anybody. They were the number 3 team in the country officially. They were my number 2 team. They beat the number 1 team and they held them to 7 points. Now, it wasn't, an offensive shootout or anything like that. And Arch Manning, maybe there were some more questions about him than answers that we saw in that game. I'll get to Texas later. But listen, you were the number 3 team officially. I had you as the number 2 team. You beat the number 1 team in the country. You hold them to 7 points. You're obviously going to be number 1. Number 2, sorry.
No, that made your math was perfect.
Number 2, I went with LSU. I was really, really impressed with what that LSU team was able to do to go in there and beat Clemson. Also, by the way, it's funny. The 2 teams I thought were going to play in the national title game, which I actually still think, they both lost in week 1. And in the BCS era, that would have been a death sentence. There's no way there would be that meeting in the national title game. There's even in the college football playoff era, when it was 4 teams, it would have been tough. Now, obviously, with 12 teams, there's a lot more time to right the ship. I'm not getting off that as my finals matchup. I still think it's going to be Clemson and Texas, but funny that they both lost. Like I was talking about, LSU, their defense really, really impressed me. Like I thought they were going to have to do a lot on the strength of their quarterback and Garrett Nussmeier, which they did. And I thought he played very well. He was very poised. He was very composed. But their defense going into Clemson, playing a team that was a de facto top 5 team in the country, and people were talking about, running away with the ACC, which I still think they will. And just being kind of one of the premier teams in the nation by a lot of people's standards. And you look at all the talent that Clemson has over there on that team. People are saying they have 6 first-round picks. I've said I think they have 4 of the 10 best players in the country. For LSU to go in there, hold them to 10 points, shut them down, wildly impressive. They're my number 2. Okay. Number 3, I have Penn State. They beat Nevada. What can I really say? They beat Nevada 46-11. I was looking at the numbers. I think they had 8 different rushers carry it for like 180 yards or something like that. I don't know. They beat Nevada, right? But talent still right up there. I have number 3. Georgia, I have number 4. They're very similar to Penn State. They're going to be very similar to my number 6 team as well. They beat Marshall, like whatever. It's just right now we're still doing this kind of based on preseason rankings on roster.
May I ask a question?
Yeah.
How many weeks in do you start to trust what you're seeing? Like you've seen the preseason, now you've seen week 1. When is it 3, 4, or does it take longer?
It's team dependent, because some, like for example, Texas and Ohio State, it's generally never week 1. Week 1's always tough. But like Texas and Ohio State played each other, right? They're playing real teams. For Georgia, it could be 6 weeks before they play a real team.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Like you get a pretty good idea of what a team is after 3 weeks, I would say. But until you step up and face real opposition, it's always a little bit tougher to gauge. That's a good question.
Thank you.
Great question. At number 5, I have Miami. Miami beat your Notre Dame Fighting Irish in Miami.
I watched a lot of that game, and I always felt Notre Dame was like never going to win that game.
You know what? I thought Notre Dame played well. I thought CJ Carr played well, but Miami was just better than I gave him credit for. And Carson Beck was a guy who kind of got killed last year for his really bad year at Georgia. But no one wanted to, talk about how Georgia led the nation in drops last year. No one wanted to talk about how Georgia, lost Brock Bowers and Ladd McConkey from the year previous, and we see them in the NFL. And by the way, they're really good. Carson Beck, I don't know what was going on between the ears, but he transfers to Miami this year, goes out, gets like $3 million in NIL money, plays a really tough team in Notre Dame that I like, and beats them. And you got to give them credit in the rankings. Honestly, you could have them ahead of Georgia based on quality of opposition, but I'm going with them at number 5.
Okay.
At number 6, I have my Oregon Ducks. Beat the brakes off Montana State. Montana State, Oregon was obviously always going to win this game. They were always going to blow out Montana State. I kind of thought Montana State was scrappy though. Like watching them play, I was like, you know what? They actually block hard. They play well. Shout out Montana State. The final score was like 56-11 or something.
Do we know?
56-14.
Can we compare the
13
the student body total for those two schools? Like
You
how
know
many
what?
go to Montana State?
Let me look it up right now. So the University of Oregon. This is fun. University of Oregon. Any guesses how many students they have?
God, I don't know. I have no idea. 40,000.
23,000.
Okay.
Which is actually not that much. Now, Montana State. Any guess how many students they have?
11.
17,000.
Okay.
So it's actually
it's not that.
it's actually pretty close.
Okay.
It's actually I like where you were going with that, but it's actually pretty close.
Okay.
But yeah, Oregon was always going to win that game. They did. They're 6. 7, I have Texas. Obviously 0-1 to start the season. Like the reality is, I would still probably favor Texas over a fair few amount of teams I've listed already. I don't think I would favor them against Ohio State or LSU. Ohio State, obviously, I didn't even need to say that. I don't think I would favor them against LSU or Penn State. I'd probably favor them against Georgia, Miami, Oregon. Arch Manning didn't look good. I don't
He
want
really
to.
didn't.
He had 38 yards after the third quarter, and some of his mechanics looked off. But I got to be honest, they were playing the defending national champions on the road. Matt Patricia is the defensive coordinator there. They have the best defensive player in the country in Caleb Downs. Like they made it really tough for him. And I think Arch is going to be fine. I think he's going to correct things. Now, he's probably not going to go on to have a Heisman caliber season just because this game is going to, I think, hold him back in a lot of those conversations. Now, if they do end up running the SEC, going 11-1 in regular season play, winning the SEC championship game, and he lights the world on fire, we're having a different conversation. The thing is, we probably won't see that based on what we've seen, but I still think he can be a good quarterback. I still think he can be fine. Number 8, I had Clemson. I think they just lost to a really, really good LSU team. Like, I'm not going to get off Clemson. I still think they're going to run things in the ACC. I know they're 0-1, and I know it has to be a mix of what you think the team is, what they are in recruiting, what they are in returning roster, what they are in transfer portal, where they come in the preseason rankings. But results obviously have to matter. They still lost. I can't have them higher than 8. Number 9, I had Notre Dame. What's funny about Notre Dame, I was thinking about this on the drive into work today. So Notre Dame loses this one. I thought they were going to win this game. Notre Dame, I think, has to go undefeated to make the college football playoff now. Because here's the thing. They play Texas A&M, and that's probably going to be the toughest game on their schedule. And there's kind of a catch-22 that comes with it. If they beat Texas A&M and lose somewhere else, all that means is you've lost to a bad team now. Unless like Pitt or USC go on to be something that we don't know, or Boise State really rights the ship after their 31-7 schlacking against USF. But if you beat A&M and lose to another team, all of a sudden you got a really bad loss there. And if you lose to A&M and win out the rest of your schedule and go 10-2, you've lost to the 2 best teams you've played by far and just beat up on a bunch of mediocre teams.
That's the problem with their schedule.
So that's why I think they and maybe Pitt and USC or something like I said, but that's kind of why I think they have to go undefeated here the rest of the way. Number 10, this kind of got into I guess I'll throw them in their category. South Carolina. beat Virginia Tech. I like Lenora Sellers a lot. I like Shane Beamer as a coach.
You were high on them in the preseason.
Yeah, like I had them number 10 to start. I didn't think, they beat Virginia Tech. They were supposed to beat Virginia Tech. I didn't think that was going to detract or take away from their ranking at all. Number 10 seems fair. Number 11, I went with Iowa State. Thought, why not? They beat Kansas State. That was a team I picked to win the Big 12. And by the way, very well still could, the way the Big 12 plays out. They, I don't know. Like they're 2-0. This is there are a few teams now that could really be in the conversation for like 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, like anywhere in that area. I went with Iowa State just because I was high on Kansas State. And 12, I thought about going Florida State here. And I'm going to talk about the Florida State and Alabama game after this. I thought about going Florida State here. The reason I went with Florida instead, not that they played any real competition, but the reason I went with Florida instead is because with Florida State, like I just don't know what Alabama is anymore. And by the way, my group of 5 team is Tulane. They beat up on a Power 4 school in Northwestern 23-3, even though Northwestern is not really a Power 4 school. But to get to the game at hand, Alabama and Florida State, this iteration of Alabama is so far removed from the past Alabama teams we've seen in the Nick Saban era. Like, I have some stats for you here about Alabama and Kalen DeBoer Lowetide. Through 14 games at Alabama, Kalen DeBoer has 4 unranked losses. In 230 games for Nick Saban, he had 4 unranked losses. Here's another one. Since 2007, in games when Alabama was favored by at least 14 points, Nick Saban is 131-2, or was 131-2, I should say. Kalen DeBoer is 4-4. This is a quote that came down from one of Alabama's boosters, and it's a little lengthy, but I'll read it here. He said, "I've spent time around the team hotel for 25 years, and I will tell you that Kalen DeBoer's tenure is much closer to Shula or Dubose than Saban. Players are walking around at 1 to 1:30 a.m. getting DoorDash deliveries of fast food before the game. I've seen players with random friends coming in and out of the hotel until 1 or 2 a.m. They couldn't get organized to leave the team hotel on time without confusion. As soon as I was around this, I could not get it out of my head because you could see it was an organization that looked second class by the way it was run. Since witnessing that last year, I've held hope, but my eyes, brain, and gut all told me this is going to be bad when being around it." And I bring all this up because we used to think of Alabama as the big bad boogeyman who no one wanted to play, and keep your wife and kids at home when we're playing Alabama, right? Because they're going to beat the snot out of you. That's just who they are. But they go into this game against Florida State, and it's a Florida State team we really don't know what they are yet. I like Tommy Castellano, their quarterback, a lot. He played great. But we don't really know what that Florida State team is, and they just beat up on Alabama, and Alabama was the team who was always supposed to be beating up on you, and always had been beating up on you. So this Alabama team is so far removed from what Nick Saban built for like 17 years.
But Saban, I felt like his time was done. He was too long at the fair.
He was still winning, and he was still playing great, or the team was still playing great. And they were still competing for SEC
Maybe
titles.
They just chose the wrong guy, though. Like, I mean, you could tire of Saban and then hire a better guy.
That's a little bit more what the conversation has kind of felt like become. Like, this is a Kalen DeBoer issue because people feel like he doesn't have a handle on the team. And people feel like the culture he has now brought over to Alabama has stripped Alabama of what they were under Nick Saban. And like I said, they were physical and they were going to hurt you and they were going to beat you up and you were scared to play them. But no one fears Alabama anymore.
Well,
no one fears this iteration of Alabama. The last time Alabama was ranked in the 20s in the AP poll, George Bush was president.
I just need you to take that back about the DoorDash. That was unkind. Ordering DoorDash at 1 o'clock in the morning is fine.
Not if you're a college athlete for Alabama the night before a game.
Well, okay, fine.
Like, seriously, they have these kids now, some of them, not all of them, obviously, but some of them are making millions of dollars. Act like professionals and act like the standard of Alabama. Alabama, here's the other thing, and this is kind of harsh. Alabama doesn't really have anything else going for it. Like, if they don't have football, they don't have much. You know what I mean? So to come in, and by the way, they're also 5-5 in their last 10 games. In 14 games for Kalen DeBoer, to strip the program down from what it was, huge indictment. Huge indictment.
Does he last the year?
You know what's funny? I was thinking after they lost to Florida State, I wouldn't be surprised if I got a notification that Kalen DeBoer has been fired. If they really stumble and they're like, if they're like 3-3 through 6 games, I think he gets fired.
No. We have a winner. Now I interrupted you. I apologize.
No, my goodness.
But OJ Aliassime, he's through, right? Like
He
that's
is.
it?
He's on to the semis.
Nice. Well done, young man.
Huge.
God, I love that.
I love
Look at
watching
that
Canadian
smile.
tennis players succeed. And Felix is my favorite men's tennis player from Canada. Like I was never a big Milos or Dennis guy, but
Milos
Raonic.
Yeah. Where do you have Boise State? Or don't you like the Smurf turf?
106.
Oh dear.
They lost to USF 31-7.
Wow.
USF might win 3 games.
Maybe
this year.
they were nervous.
They sure looked it.
All right. You're not grumpy anymore, I can tell. So I'm glad of that. We're back tomorrow. Thanks so much for tuning in. On the way, Jason Krueger, please enjoy your day.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
And for your Sports 1440 update brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca. Play Alberta has an all-new app. Download it and get boosted odds on all the big games. Plus, play casino games, grab lottery tickets, and try some quick and easy instant games all on your phone. That's PlayAlberta.ca. Felix Auger-Aliassime is moving on to the U.S. Open semifinals. He's beaten 8 seed Alex de Minaur in 4 sets. Number 1 seed Yannick Sinner and number 10 seed Lucas Massetti will be in action today at 6:10 in the other men's quarterfinal. Iga Swiatek, the 2 seed and 8 seed Anna Anisimova will be playing in about 5 minutes time here. That match being moved. 11 seed Caroline Mukova and 23 seed Naomi Osaka will play in the other women's quarter today at 5. In the baseball world, the Diamondbacks and Rangers currently tied 0-0 in the bottom of the first. Nats lead the Marlins 10-5 in the top of the 9th, and one final from earlier saw the Tigers over the Mets 6-2. The Blue Jays will be in action at 4:40 as they are in Cincinnati taking on the Reds. Shane Bieber on the mound in that one. News around the sporting world is the LA Clippers and team owner Steve Ballmer reportedly have been accused of circumventing the NBA salary cap by paying $28 million to Kawhi Leonard for a no-show job. Pablo Torre reporting that the Clippers paid Leonard through a now bankrupt company owned by Ballmer. And the NHL and NHLPA ratified an extension to their CBA in late June, which included a playoff salary cap. The cap will be implemented immediately and take effect for the 2026 Stanley Cup playoffs, meaning that each team will be limited to icing a cap-compliant 20-man roster for each game. I'm Declan Krueger. This has been Sports